Ekitike to Liverpool. You've broken my heart. Now, this is not as bad as it could have been, right, chat? Because we thought potentially Isak would go to Liverpool. And thankfully, Newcastle said, no, do not court my wife. Go speak to your girlfriend. And that's what this situation was. Two men in a club eyeing up each other's misses. Maybe there was never really going to be an agreement between all parties. But I think both clubs have won in this scenario because Newcastle keep their best player and Liverpool are signing what is, in my opinion, a very talented forward. I am not going to sit here and lie to you. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I don't have a video in the archives that I now will never get to release saying that Chelsea should buy Ekitike to replace Jackson. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Okay? I said those things. But what I also will say is that this is good news, at least for the short term, because this means that Liverpool are not getting a striker that has scored 20 goals in back-to-back Premier League seasons in Isak. Because some of you were in my comments telling me, it's not that deep if they get Isak. Oh, it's not that deep, bro. It's not that deep if the Premier League winners sign the second best striker behind Haaland in the league. Since when is that not that deep? So for me, this is at least good news in that sense that we know that Ekitike at least maybe has to adapt, maybe has to settle in with the pace and the physicality of the Premier League, and hopefully those things slow him down. But like I said, this is a very talented forward. For me, this is someone that obviously was at PSG. Campos signed him. He didn't fit in at PSG in the end. I think it was wrong time, not the wrong place. I do think this footballer very much seamlessly plays in a front three like that. And the way that he plays, the way that he glides, the long limbs, it's all very similar to Isak. This is why I'm going to say he's the baby Isak. I'm going to say he's very similar. There's definitely a comparison to be drawn between the two. He's one of those players that, and thankfully we got someone in João Pedro who hopefully continues to be consistent in the way that he's playing and kicks on. So then you can just go bar for bar with these guys, and it's going to be a very fun season seeing all these very talented technical forwards at these clubs go into battle.
Am I upset that Chelsea are going to miss out on Ekitike? If you watch the videos back from the beginning of June, where I still did have a little bee in my bonnet that maybe we would have gone for a Victor Osimhen. You guys know that I put that to bed a while ago. So don't come at me saying, Benson, give up on it. I did. I gave up on it a month ago, okay? Ekitike to Liverpool. This is going to be a very good signing for Liverpool. I'm going to say it now. There's a lot of people that think, well, it could just be another Darwin Núñez. I don't see that. Liverpool absolutely thrive when they've got these kind of connective forwards. And what I mean by that is a forward that likes to drop deeper, that loves to make runs into the channels, that loves to do a little bit more work in deeper areas. Liverpool aren't renowned for getting the best out of target men. That's not how they play. And I look at that front line, right? Mohamed Salah, Florian Wirtz, the fluidity that's going to be on show there, whether they keep Diaz or not, which is why I'm a little bit concerned here. If Luis Diaz goes, Liverpool are not only going to make tons of money from that, I'm looking at this Liverpool business and I'm thinking they might have literally just won the league before a ball's even kicked. I know that's a bit premature. None of the signings are guaranteed to actually stick and perform. But what they've got with Arne Slot right now is a team that works, that everybody knows what their roles are. And if you put players in there with better quality, I think they're going to thrive. So
Ekitike is a fantastic footballer. Marmoush was his partner. Now, if we do the maths on what he brings, then you can pretty much see why Marmoush got all the goals he did. Now, you add Mo Salah to that equation, the other Egyptian. Now, this helps up Mo Salah tenfold compared to most strikers in the world of football that's available today. You know, with the guy who's towering about 6'3", 6'4", very lanky build, he's got absolute serious link-up play. Hence why Marmoush was the top, well, I think he had the most GA or something like that with Frankfurt in the last how many years, blah, 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 blah. It was all thanks to that man there, bar obviously the set pieces. But Hugo Ekitike, very strong, very aggressive, loves to press as well, loves to run the channels. I think he's going to be nothing but a success. Of course, he's going to have to find a new partnership with his new teammate who come from the Bundesliga as well, Florian Wirtz. And again, for for the way Florian Wirtz plays, it can only benefit his goal tally as well. We'll see how he lands. It might take a little bit of an adjustment period, but if you've seen him even on...
And yet, here we are now. He's going to be a Liverpool player within 24 hours. And that's just... It puts other clubs to shame. Let me be blunt. It puts Manchester United to shame. 7 weeks working on an Mbermo deal. And some clubs like Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal can get deals done in hours because they know what they're doing. And it's not just about paying the fee. It's not like Liverpool are going to give £100 million to Eintracht Frankfurt. They're going to give a fair price. They're not going to pay Ekitike stupid wages. They're going to pay a fair wage. It's just efficiency. And that's what's lacking at clubs like Manchester United. But from a Liverpool point of view, look, Arne Slot is clearly a manager that values pre-season, and I don't think enough people talk about this. I spoke about Arne Slot last year, and a lot of people felt no transfers, replacing Klopp. It was the end of the Liverpool era, and I said, not if you do your homework on him. He's a very pragmatic manager. He's a very organised manager, and he knows what he wants. And he wants his players on pre-season, and Ekitike will be on pre-season now. They still need a centre-back and they still need Rodrigo. But this is also, let's not forget, tragically, Liverpool's transfer activity has been hugely impacted over the last fortnight by the tragic and sad loss of Jota and his brother. But from a Liverpool point of view, obviously Jota was a player that was massively part of their plans, and they've had to deal with that tragedy and then take time out whilst they try and understand it. So they probably lost a week or two on that.
Are stories that they may try to sign both. But I saw a tweet earlier from a Newcastle fan, friend of the show as well, Kendall Rowan. And I do kind of get this a little bit. She says here, respectfully, if you're spending 82 million on Ekitike, it might even be more than that, offering 120 million for Isak was borderline insulting and hilarious. And I happen to agree. If you're willing to go, let's say it goes as high as 85 to 90 million pounds, there's no way Ekitike is only worth 30 million less than Isak, unless they don't believe there's too much of a difference. Unless they believe that Ekitike is going to come in and in a much better team with the coaching of Arne Slot, he can get 20 league goals a season almost straight away. Therefore, you can understand the offering of that amount of money. So quite a few Newcastle fans frustrated and angered by this bid that has come in. But, and I want to say this because I think it's important to point this out really, because I think a lot of people have forgotten about this. But Liverpool are in a win-win situation here. I've seen so many stories talking about Newcastle have sold them down the river, they've done them over, they've made them overpay for an average player. I've seen so much copium from Newcastle fans, from Man United fans, from rivals of Liverpool, like they're doing a bad piece of business here. Hugo Ekitike at 95 million euros is going to seem a lot of money to many a football fan. Liverpool are, of course, going to get banter for this. Why? Well, we all know the reasons why. Because of Jurgen Klopp. Liverpool fans don't get triggered, but you know that's the truth. Because Jurgen Klopp for years bemoaned the spending of other clubs and said Liverpool can't and would never do it. There was often these notions that came out of Liverpool that it was offensive to the working class roots of the country and the surrounding area of Liverpool to spend hundreds of millions of pounds on players all the time. It wasn't kind of part of their club and their culture. And we all knew at the time that was just nonsense. Whatever the reasons were for not spending, I don't think it had anything to do with those reasons. And that's why you're seeing Liverpool fans so joyous this summer. The speed, the amount of money that's being spent, the players they're chasing. And I must have seen this tweeted a million times in my comment sections, hundreds of times. Finally, this is as if I'm a Liverpool fan talking. Finally, we are acting like the giant club that we are.
The entire way through this process, I think they do have the money, but I don't think Liverpool will be signing Isak. There's also Rodrigo updates, but I don't get some people are just absolutely criticizing Liverpool. Let's just get this out there, right? They brought in Kirkes, one of the best attacking fullbacks in the Premier League last season, a long-term replacement for Robertson, who's only 21 years of age. They brought in Frimpong, who's going to fit their system like a glove. And now they've actually got 2 very good attacking wingbacks. And they brought in the best playmaker in Germany last season, one of the best playmakers in European football, who's played in international tournaments for Germany, who's won league titles, who's played in Europa League finals, who's only 22 years of age. And they've just brought in Hugo Ekitike, who is 22. Edwards and Hughes very, very rarely get a transfer wrong. And even if they do get the transfer wrong, they just go and sell them for a bigger profit anyway. So I think Liverpool fans should be very optimistic because there's still money left over with the sale of Luis Diaz, with the sale of Darwin Núñez, with the sale of Harvey Elliott, Morton, potentially Federico Chiesa, to go out there and make a big, big move for Rodrigo.